It's time for the Melissa McFerrin Show, presented by Chick-fil-A. The show is supported by Regional One Health, the official health provider of the Memphis Tigers. Your Mid-South Chevy dealers, the official truck of the Memphis Tigers. The Tennessee Lottery, AutoZone, and MLGW.
Welcome in, everybody. It was for Melissa McFerrin, sort of a mixed week. 1 and 2 in terms of games being played, but a nice contract extension, which means we've got you around for a few more years.
I've said a million times, I've made no mistake how much I love Memphis and want to remain at the University of Memphis. So it was a good day and a credit to all the players that have been here that have helped us be successful.
We will talk a little bit more in our feature section on the contract extension and the vision of Melissa for the next few years. But let's get back to the reality of it all. Last night, a tough one in Philadelphia, where again a lead sort of dissipated. That's twice now. The Cincinnati game, 12-0 run by the Bearcats. And they won that game, and then last night you have a lead at the half. You're down, folks. You're down 2 key players. Is fatigue starting to play a role here?
Well, I think you could say that, and I'm not going to say that it's not a factor, but I don't think it was the factor last evening. We came to Temple. We were ready to play. Kids were on game plan. We had a great half. We've talked about how we have to keep the scores low. This is not a team that we're going to outscore people and win. Up 33-27 at the half, came out, got a foul, hit a free throw, and then, as we anticipated, Temple came with some traps, and we had 2 turnovers, which they turned into layups. We had 2 defensive mistakes, and they kind of got on a roll. So I think last evening it was more about not managing that early part of the second half, and then we gave them a lot of confidence. We probably got down a little bit emotionally. And I think that was probably, more so than fatigue, that probably was the reason last evening.
Okay. I think you're tired a little bit.
There's no question we're tired.
I know you missed those two players.
There's no question. I'm not going to say that we don't, but I'm also not going to use that as an excuse for our team, because we are 9 strong. That's what we're going to be. So let's not create an excuse, because I really think this team still has the ability to win, and we've got to continue to work and get better.
We will take a look at all 3 games coming up. There was a win in there, and that was against Central Florida. As always, we'll look at all of the highlights, and then a little bit later in the show, the Chick-fil-A Outstanding Player. This is an outstanding young lady from Canada. Looking forward to talking about her. She was on the national team, you know, Cheyenne Crichton. And then the Regional One Health Inside Access. We'll talk about the vision for the Lady Tigers over the next few years. All coming your way on the Melissa McFerrin Show.
You're watching the Melissa McFerrin Show, presented by Chick-fil-A.
So the Tigers are now 8-11 overall on the year, 1-5 in a very good American Athletic Conference. But you know, this is what happens in conferences. You go on the road, it's always difficult to play. The good thing is, for the most part, you've been very competitive in almost every game, particularly in the first 2 quarters.
We certainly have, and that is, to me, the reason why we can continue to be very optimistic, because we have found a way to be a very good basketball team against very good teams. Temple right now, believe it or not, is leading the American Athletic Conference a half a game over UConn. So
they haven't lost, is what you're telling me.
They have not lost. And this is a team that is bound for the NCAA tournament. They're a team that a year ago we probably kept out of the tournament with our 5 overtime win. So we've got to be encouraged, because we have that ability. Now we have to learn to extend our ability to play well against great teams. We're capable of doing that. So we've got to stay on task and continue to learn the lessons, because this team can be very successful.
I guess Temple is as good or better than South Florida, because the Bulls are actually ranked in the top 25.
They are. They haven't played each other yet. That game's coming up. But the coaches in the American Athletic Conference voted Temple ahead of USF in the preseason poll. So you can tell that the respect from the coaches is there, and they are delivering. They have not lost at home all year. You will see them in the rankings very, very soon. They're actually receiving votes already. And it's just a matter of them getting a really good conference win or a really good showing, probably on national TV before everybody can see them.
A couple of sweet moves, one by Wilder Cochran. I think that was Elmore who hit the last shot. And there's your bread and butter. We'll be talking to, oh no, that's,
Yep,
yeah,
Cheyenne
that's
right
Cheyenne Crichton. We'll be talking with her in a little bit. And you were up again, as we mentioned, 33-27 at the half, but you just saw it come to a close. The final 66-51. The Owls are good, though.
The Owls are very good, and but we've got to manage those times. As I told the players last evening, we got to manage those times where the game is hanging in the balance, and we've got to find a way to weather the storm, so to speak, and then get on solid footing again. We do that better when we're not in foul trouble, which we've had. We've been good at that for most of the year, but recently we've gotten in some foul trouble early and really had to mix up our lineup.
Next up was Cincinnati, and here's a game I know this one's going to kill you for the rest of the year. When you have a nice lead and they go on a 12-0 run to end the game, that's one you figure you should have had.
No question about it. This is a game where we hadn't played particularly well through a lot of the game. You see Taylor Barnes right there. She actually hit 2 threes in the first half, which were critical for us. But we hadn't played that well throughout the course of the game. The players came to the first time out in the second half, and I really didn't say a word to them. I let them try to find their own emotion at that point, and they did. We actually went, I believe, from 7 down to 5 up with 4:38 to play, sharing the basketball, making great plays, getting defensive stops. The thing that happened late in the game was they came with pressure. One thing that I think our team has been fairly well known for, and we saw it in the game against Temple at home, we hit 2 threes late. On execution stuff, our players have been very, very good at that. But Cincinnati chose to scramble us with traps to stay away from that stuff, and we did not handle that very well. We turned the ball over 4 straight times.
4 straight times at the end of the game that contributed to a 12-0 run. I know Cheyenne had a pretty good game in this one, 1 rebound shy of a double-double, so she gave you everything she had.
Cheyenne has been stellar all year, and because of it, she's getting a lot of attention from the other team. But the thing I love about Cheyenne, you see her finishing there, is that she's typically going to shoot a very high percentage in the paint. She is learning how to manage double teams, and she's seeing a lot of them right now. And as the confidence comes against those double teams, she'll become even more effective. But if Cheyenne Crichton never takes a shot, never gets a post feed, she's going to go get rebounds. And she has a string of double-doubles on the year that is just absolutely phenomenal. And it may not be, 8 straight, but it's 8 out of 10 or 6 out of 8 that she's getting. And she's going to do work. She's also our best help defender.
You mentioned earlier Taylor Barnes hit the couple of threes. I've noticed with this freshman, there are some games she is incredible. She had one stellar where she hit like 11 or 12 free throws in a row earlier in the year. Freshman, up and down?
Freshman up and down, but hers is more about, you see her chasing down a rebound there, which I love, or a sprint layup there, which I love to see. But we've got a lot on her. She's managing a lot of things right now. She's playing both the point and the 2. She's having to play on fatigue because of our numbers. That's difficult for any player, much less a freshman. Right? She's having to make decisions and make play calls and call defenses and read screens and things of that sort. So there's a lot on her right now, and quite honestly, I think she's doing a pretty good job for everything that she's being asked to do at this point.
And probably would not have been asked to do all of that had you had 2 players that are out.
Oh, there's no question. That is a huge factor in all of our players, in the minutes that they're having to play right now, and the decisions in particular that she's having to make.
So I know that was a tough handshake right there at the end of that one. But
yeah.
You got to move on. And earlier in the week, you did win a game against Central Florida. And this is a team that I think, when you're going to score 65 points, because they will battle you with defense, you're playing hard.
We played hard, there's no question. This is a team that we were concerned about. It was a 2-day prep on their trapping defenses, because they show you a lot of different things, a lot of full court pressure, a lot of half court pressure. Our kids were spot on game plan in this game. And anytime things got tough, what happened was what you saw right there. Bria Elmore had an outstanding game. 25 points. We took care of the basketball against this team, and we had a stretch early in the second half where we allowed them to have a little bit of a run. We put them at the free throw line early. That allowed them to keep it close, but down the stretch, you see the Cheyenne Crichton dial up the rebound right there, but also against their zone and against their press, you see it Cheyenne there against the double team. But again, Taylor Barnes came through with some pretty good plays after we'd gone on a scoring drought.
So Elmore, who's critical to this team, had her second 20-plus point performance for the year, and Crichton again 16 points in this one. So your two key players here offensively came through, and you forced turnovers on them, and that's, I think, maybe the key here.
Yeah, and you're the turnover guy. You always look at that turnover.
I'm not going to talk about ratio this week. I won't do that.
You know, and we were switching defenses against UCF. They've got some shooters, which makes it difficult to go to a zone, but we are a better team when we're going what we call make and miss, where we're zone on a make, man on a miss. We might switch defenses again on the side, and we're a better team when we can do that. It also gives our players an opportunity. I don't want to say rest because our zone isn't rest, but they do cover a little bit smaller area when we're in that. As long as we can backside rebound, we like to be in our zone.
All right. Cheyenne Crichton, we mentioned her a bunch, a young lady from just outside Toronto in Canada, on the junior national team and the heart and soul of the Lady Tigers. She's next.
You're watching The Melissa McFerrin Show, presented by Chick-fil-A.
Welcome back in, the third edition. Cheyenne Crichton from Pickering, Ontario, which is a suburb, folks, outside of Toronto. She's the leading rebounder. She's the leading scorer. Many times she's been nominated as Player of the Week honor roll. Congratulations on this junior season that you are having. But let's go back to the very beginning. Here you are, Canadian. What made you decide to come all the way from Toronto to Memphis?
I tell people all the time, the main thing I wanted was like a family atmosphere. And so I knew like coming all the way from the south, or to the south, you know, it's far away from home. I wouldn't get to see my family that much. So the main thing I looked for was the team, like chemistry, family type of atmosphere. And so when I came here and met the team, I didn't even go on my other visits after that I had scheduled. I was just like, okay, I'm coming to Memphis.
What, just out of curiosity, what were the other visits you were going to take?
I had one to Temple, and I had one to Eastern Michigan.
Huh?
So, yeah, I just said no, I want to come here. And even those were closer
Philly,
to home,
you'd much
too,
rather
so.
be in Memphis. Come on.
Yeah.
Although it's a little closer to home. So you're also on the national team, for the junior national team for Canada. What has that experience been like?
It was a great experience. I played 2 years. I was the captain my second year, which was kind of new, like this year. But yeah, it was great. We got to go to Russia. I was to Spain before we went this past summer. Got to go to Colorado to play in the FIBA All-America, so it was a good experience.
The coach likes to say, you all of a sudden have been thrust into this leadership role. You're the captain now. How much different is that than, say, a couple of years ago?
Really different. Last year I felt like I had a back seat and I was comfortable. This year I haven't really been comfortable like I was last year. It's been challenging kind of finding a way. I still feel like I'm not fully there yet, but I'm learning. So
Last year I called her a third starter. But I've always said if I tried to start her last year, she probably would have boycotted the team because she was very comfortable coming off the bench and didn't want that responsibility. This year, I've told her, I said, Cheyenne, we can't protect you. You have to be that player now. So just talk about your evolution to this point, getting to that stage.
Right. Well, it was something I knew, though. Like, I knew after Asia and Bree left, I knew it was coming. So I kind of had to, like, prepare myself, talked with Coach at the beginning of the year, and kind of saw it. So, I don't know, it was just something I was working towards. I knew it was coming, so I had to, you know, be ready to be uncomfortable. So.
Well, yeah, and you've done a good job with it because you get doubled and tripled all the time. Always finding the open person, great job. And the best news, only a junior, Melissa, so you got her back next year. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Coming up, we'll talk a little bit about contract extensions, and not passing, but also the vision that Melissa McFerrin has.
You're watching The Melissa McFerrin Show, presented by Chick-fil-A.
Inside Access this week is congratulatory. We talked a little bit about your contract extension. I know that has to really please you financially and also make you a little bit more secure.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm very humbled and very appreciative to both Tom Bowen and Dr. Brad because they obviously have to bless that. And I have, as I've said previously, I've made no secret that I love Memphis. I love the University of Memphis. This is where I want to remain. This is where I feel like we can be successful. And again, just humbled and appreciative because that's a great credit to our players, as I said before, that we've been successful enough that they feel like I need to continue to lead this program.
I know you're a planner too, so give me these next 2 years that you're extending for. What's your real vision for those 2 years?
Well, the vision really doesn't change because I don't think you can change your tagline every year. You've got to continue working for consistency. We are now in a conference. When I first came here, we were the 13th best conference in the country. Now we are the 5th best conference in the country. So we've had to rebuild the program. We've had to get good in Conference USA, which we did. We've had to start. The American Athletic Conference was 4 sophomores as starters and not ready. Last year we grew into that upper echelon, and that really is our goal every year. We want to be in the upper echelon of the American Athletic Conference, and we want to be in postseason play. I tell every recruit that. I tell every parent that those are our goals, and we consistently want to be that team. It's a little harder now than it was when we were the 13th best conference in the country. But that is our vision, and along with that, I truly believe it's my responsibility as a head coach of a female team to expose our team, to challenge them, to give them confidence, not only in basketball, but in their academic life and in their life beyond college.
Well, and you do these cultural things too, like going to Europe and things of that nature. It's really terrific stuff.
Well, it's all about exposure for these players, and hopefully we make the world a little bit smaller place for them where it's less overwhelming as they graduate and things of that sort. And I'm just really into the development of young women. Sometimes that development comes with a stern hand when it comes to coaching, but also at the end of the day, you know, my heart is all about our players.
Well, you've got 2 games this week. We'll chat about the AutoZone road ahead. That's next. The AutoZone road ahead involves 2 home games this week. We start with Houston. How good are they?
They're struggling a little bit in conference, but they've been building the last 2 years under a new coach, so they'll be ready to play.
And then on a very special game against Central Florida, it's Play for K. It's an early 11 o'clock tip, and the Play for K is sort of a cancer awareness thing.
It is. It's women's cancers. You see that I have my little pink ribbon on today. So we want to make sure that we honor all cancer survivors, and the Play for K initiative is really to eradicate cancer.
We'll see you at the El Marone.
Thanks for watching The Melissa McFerrin Show, presented by Chick-fil-A. The show is supported by Regional One Health, the official health partner of the Memphis Tigers. Your Mid-South Chevy dealers, the official truck of the Memphis Tigers. The Tennessee Lottery, AutoZone, and MLGW.